So as I was saying, I didn't want to come to the U.S. because of the language and because I loved Spain. I mean, I had a girlfriend at 14. It was really, really interesting. And I didn't want to come to the United States. So when we went to the American Embassy to get our papers ready to come to the U.S., because all Cubans end up in the U.S. ultimately, right? When we leave Cuba, no matter where we go first, we all want to end up in the United States, and the majority end up in Miami, where I am now. So when I went to the American Embassy in Madrid, I pretended to be mentally ill. My mother didn't know that, but that was my plan. And I started doing some really weird things in the embassy, and my mother didn't know how to stop me. And it was because I wanted the Americans to think that I was mentally ill, therefore they would not give me the visa to come over. But it didn't work. The only thing the woman said is, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry about your son. In the United States, we have very, very specialized places and people who can help him." So I probably have somewhere on my visa, mentally ill, very insane, and so on down the line. So I came to the United States, and I remember that when I first arrived in school, the first day I arrived in school, there was a fight. I mean, I hadn't seen a fight in Spain in a year. And after that, I missed Spain terribly. But within a year, I really, really loved the U.S. And I didn't go to Vietnam because of a technicality. Because when I came to the United States, they pushed me back a year in school because I didn't speak English. So when it was time for me to go to Vietnam, I hadn't finished high school. I was 18, but I was a junior. So I went to the Army, I registered, I passed the physical, but then they couldn't take me. And by the time my senior year graduated, the war was over. So it all worked out.
Ah, that's good.
Yeah, I could say that.
So when you got here, how hard was it to learn English?
It wasn't. But I tell people how I learned English, and they don't believe it. I at the beginning, they put me in a class where everybody said the same thing every day. You said, "I am here today. I will be here tomorrow," unless it was a Friday, in which case you would say, "I will not be here tomorrow." "I was here yesterday," unless it was a Monday, in which case you would say, "I was not here yesterday." And they brought all these new kids. New Cuban kids would arrive every day. So whenever you learned that, a new kid had to learn it. So you never moved from there. It was called English as a second language. So with a translator, I went to see the principal, and I asked the principal to transfer me to a regular English class. And the principal asked the translator, "How does he dare ask for that when he brought a translator to make the request? He couldn't even do it himself, and he's gonna flunk." And I told the translator, "Tell the principal that's my risk." So the principal smiled, I guess, and said, he's gutsy. So he put me in a regular class, English class, but it was an English class for the people who were really stupid. They spoke English, but they were very stupid. And in other words, the ones that were flunking every other class, but they spoke the language. And when I got there, I had to do a speech. A 2-minute speech was the first assignment, and I didn't speak any English. So I translated from an encyclopedia, something else that you guys don't have now. An encyclopedia was a set of books. I translated with a dictionary, English-Spanish dictionary, why Mexico City is, and I'll never forget, why Mexico City is sinking. For 2 minutes, I wrote a speech, and I didn't know that English was phonetic. So I stood in front of the class, and I spoke something like this. "Mexico City is sinking because the water under the ground," and so on down the line. And they looked at me, but they didn't even laugh because they were so freaked out. And I stayed with them, and then one day I was reading a book that I didn't understand, and I was in page number 50 or 55, and all of a sudden I realized I understood it. So I went back to the beginning of the book, and I started it from scratch, and by the time I finished the book, I spoke the language. And it's really funny because I remember the book vividly.
Alright, that's very good. Alright, it's ending again, the 5 minutes.